Panorama QC folder was added as and has been extended over the last few releases as a way for labs to perform QCs of their instruments and reagents over time. Runs can be uploaded using the data pipeline or directly from Skyline into these folder types, these QC folder types, and they can be viewed on this in a summarized format on this dashboard. There's two main parts to the dashboard, the Panorama dashboard, the QC summary web part at the top and the Levy-Jennings QC plots section at the bottom. We've reviewed both of these web parts in past releases, but this 16.2 release included some updates to the QC summary web part at the top that I'm going to go over here today. The first improvement made to this summary display is to include information about subfolders for the given container. So you'll see here I have a Panorama QC project set up, and in this case I have 3 direct subfolders, some of which might be of type QC and some which are not. Previous to the 16.2 release, this QC summary web part only showed information about the current container. With this change, we also will now show information about any direct subfolders of this container which are also of type QC. So you'll see those shown here in the gray shaded boxes. So in this case, out of the 3 subfolders that I have in this project, 2 of them are of type QC, so we see information about those 2 here in the summary display. The second improvement for the QC summary web part is an indicator of the auto QC status for that container. The targeted MS module uses an auto QC tool to ping the server so that it can check to see if a given container exists or has been moved, things along those lines. So this auto QC indicator that you'll see in the upper right hand section of each of the containers information gives the status of the last auto QC ping for that given container. And you'll see there's 3 different statuses, and I have an example of each one shown here. When I hover over the status, it tells me in the green state, so the active state was the last time this container was pinged by AutoQC. You'll see when the most recent ping happened greater than 15 minutes ago, that status turns to red. So you see here this container was last pinged several days ago as an indicator that the ping hasn't happened very recently. And then finally there's an indicator of a container that has never been pinged by the AutoQC tool. Finally, the third improvement for this QC summary web part is to show more details about kind of a quick statistics for the most recent sample files uploaded into a given container. So you'll see up in my information about my current container, I have one Skyline document imported which has 47 sample files in it. From those 47 sample files, the 3 most recent sample files are displayed here based on their acquired times, along with indicators of how many outliers they contain within the given container's metrics. So if I scroll down here just to explain that a little more, the Levy-Jennings plot display shows, in this case, a single metrics information and allows the administrative users to create a guide set, so the gray shaded area on this plot, to be set up for the expected values for a given metric. So you'll see the gray area then takes the average of all of its values and the standard deviation and applies that as the expected range for newly uploaded runs or sample files. The farthest 3 data points on the right here are the most recent 3 sample files for this given container, and those are the ones that we're going to show information for in the summary web part. As we scroll through, we can see that these last 3 data points for this particular metric fall within the expected range, but it would be tough to see at a glance how many of these sample files values across the different metrics fall outside of the range or are outliers to that expected range. So that's what the QC summary tries to show up here at the with the 3 most recent sample files. The current container that I have does not have any outliers for the guide set that I created. However, the subfolder, as you can see, shows outliers for at various different degrees for the 3 most recent samples. And you can see that one of them, in fact, has far more outliers than the other, and at a glance, the user could then hover over that sample file to see more information, and in this particular case, see that the retention time metric is the one with the majority of the outliers. So they could click on that link from this pop-up to go to that container and look at that metric and see exactly what's happening for that sample file.